Hello, and welcome to the Health and Safety Committee. This is our October 9th meeting. It's 2:30. I'll do a roll call. My name is Doug Stockley. I'm Chair. Torres? Here. Slager?
Here.
Urick? Here. McEmery? Brown?
Here.
Heller?
Here.
First item of business, approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. If you've all had a chance to look at them, is there a motion for their approval? Motion by Bill Brown, second by Linda Heller. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Any citizens' comment? And then we'll go ahead and turn it over to Fred.
Thank you, sir. Old Business Fire Prevention Month is October. We do have a fire drill. We've got a couple dates selected for when the fire drill will be. I haven't looked at my calendar yet to see which of the dates fits with my schedule, but just be aware that within the next 4 to 6 weeks, we will be having a fire drill in the facilities. Any questions about the fire drill? Yes, sir.
Fred, if I'm sitting here in this chair and there's a fire alarm goes off, where do I go?
Okay. That's in the safety manual, so that everybody knows it is in the safety manual where you'll go. But if the fire alarm were to go off right now, sitting in this room, down the steps and out to the east green belt. So the other side of the parking lot where the grass is where we would go.
Thank you.
But anybody that doesn't know where you go, it is in the safety manual on your rally locations. Also, if you are in a department, so this doesn't apply to the board, but if you are in a department and you received one of those safety flip chart things, there's a spot in there for you to write in where your rally point actually is. So that would be another reminder for you on where to go. Anything else on that?
I have a question on that.
Yes, ma'am.
How many exits are there supposed to be? In downtown on the fourth floor, one of the judges' chambers is going to be locked during lunchtime now, and that is one of the access to a fire escape. There are two of them up there.
So on the fourth floor, you've got, 2, 3, I'm sorry? You've got how many exits on the fourth floor fire escapes? There's two, but they're gonna lock down one of them at lunch.
During lunch.
Let me do some follow-up with that, because I don't have an answer, and I don't wanna make something up, so.
And maybe everybody on the fourth floor needs a memo, something, so that they make sure everybody knows something.
Julie, did you make a note on that? Okay, thank you. So, yeah, we'll follow up with that, because I need to follow up. You know that there's codes that dictate things like that, so I'll, not knowing it off the top of my head, I want to follow up before I make a statement on it. All right, so we'll bring it back next month. And in the meantime, once we get an answer, we'll send out a memo to the fourth floor so that they know. And we'll let court security know what the expectation is as well. All right? Anything else on the fire drill? Employee Appreciation Luncheon, September 12th recap. What did you guys think about the Employee Appreciation Luncheon?
It's great. Yeah, appreciate it, thank you for everybody that was involved.
What was the worst part, the ice cream? So, no, I think we're going to probably try and bring them back again next year. So I think the ice cream was a big hit. I don't even know how much that cost, but it was a big hit. I know I saw people there a lot.
It didn't cost as much as I thought it would.
Oh, good.
There was that. But I do want to add some statistics.
Please do.
For the September 12th employee luncheon, we had just under 200 employees attend, which in my estimation is the most that we've ever had. It was a great day. It was wonderful weather. I'm sure that helped. And I also like to think that the ice cream cart also helped too. We had several people volunteer and help. It's hard to name them all because I don't want to miss anybody. But had any of those volunteers that were there that day, that were cleaning the garage, setting up the garage, taking down the garage, getting the garbage ready, helping to serve, and then the grill, all of the work that those guys do with the grill and getting the food and preparing the food and making sure that it's edible for all you guys, cannot thank you guys enough, so thank you. Did everybody get the email of who won the gift cards? I can name them right now if you would like. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
I'll tell you, you know, by the end of the day, right, so we set up the day before, just so that the day of, it's just get the grill out, get going, right? We're not having to worry about cleaning out the garage, setting up the table, setting up the chairs. But still, by the end of the day, my feet are dead. I'm exhausted, and I think this is the second year in a row, and I'm gonna go ahead and call out the department, because they did this last year as well. But ROE was there both times, and that tear down went so quick this year. I don't know who all helped with the tear down. Like I said, I'm in 50 different places at once, but I know ROE was very instrumental in getting it tore down. If anybody else was there tearing it down, thank you very much, because tear down is, to me, is the worst part.
Yeah.
Because you just want it to be over with and be done with it. And that was very well orchestrated for whoever was involved. Anybody else? No other comments on that? All right, CPR training 9/16 and 9/17. We had 4 people go through training that day, or those 2 days. You know, it doesn't really, it really would please me more if I had full classes of 6 people per class, but I'll teach 2 per class if that's what I gotta do. Everybody that gets trained is just one step closer to us being in a more safe environment. So I just thank everybody for volunteering to be trained. I thank the department heads for allowing their employees to go and be trained when we do offer that training. We're going ahead and move on to new business. Cigarette receptacles, it was brought up last meeting about the cigarette receptacle on the south side at the clerk's entrance. There was a fire there. The fire was extinguished. I've talked with Bob. We've got a scoop that we can go and scoop those out on a regular basis. What that basis looks like now, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be a once-a-month thing, if it's got to be a once-a-week thing. I know the container over on the west entrance, it doesn't look like it gets emptied hardly at all, so we'll work on that, and we'll get that scoop going and get that emptied out so that hopefully we can avoid those situations where the fire happens. And correct me if I'm wrong, that was missing the top part, right? And it was just the bottom bucket part that was on fire?
I think the top blew away in a storm.
Yeah. So if that happens, point that out. I know not everybody's a smoker, but if you're a smoker and you see where that's gone, point that out, because that is part of the fire suppression system of that smoking container, because it limits the amount of oxygen to go in there to allow that fire to continue to burn. So if you see that it's missing, let us know, we'll get it replaced. 2025 safety topics. So every year, we look at about this time what we want to be our safety topics for the next fiscal year. So let's throw that open up to the floor. You know, obviously, we have some safety topics like fire prevention is always going to be in October. It's just a given. You know, I think slips, trips, and falls is always going to be somewhere in the wintertime. But, yeah, I'm going to turn this over to Laura, and we'll let her go from the discussion on this part, unless I'm throwing you under the bus.
Thank you. Every year I try to come up with ideas which will benefit everybody's departments. This year is obviously not going to be any different than that, but I would love to be able to get more specific with what happens in your departments. I'm going old school today. I have index cards. I don't care if you take these back to your departments and pass them out to your employees to see what they think. I don't care if you fill some of these out today, but I hope that we can get some of these back either I have a little container here. I'll put it on the back chair. If you fill it out during the rest of the safety meeting today, great. If not, I'll bring this back next month, and you can either email me, you can email Fred or Julie and say, we got some feedback from the team. But this way, at least you're leaving with something tangible, that it's anonymous, you know, or you can give some more time to think about the specifics. During the course of this year, we've gotten some great ideas from departments as far as, you know, the poison ivy and then the tick bites. People have talked to me wanting more information about some specific fire extinguishers. You know, so personal protective equipment, you know, that I've learned about as I go through departments or what departments do, you know, for their own safety rallies. You know, so you can put down safety topic ideas in here, or you can say, you know, just something that your department does. I'm gonna, you know, I like to use highway. They have their show and tell day where they go through their trucks, and if they need something, they request it here before the winter season really starts. Got the information, I got the request for the poison ivy and the ticks and everything, and those would have been topics I probably would have overlooked this year, but we've had some incidents with poison ivy this year, ironically afterwards. So by all means, if you have questions about bites or a specific question about what's the difference between the plugs, you know, which ones for under the desks, how many can they, how do you determine how much can be plugged into those outlets? You know, which ones, how, you know, how, just what, I'm kind of struggling there for the right word, but if you want to know more about specific hearing protection, what's the difference between an earmuff and an earplug? What's the difference between different types of gloves which are out there? You know, whether it be for chainsawing, or whether it be for food handling, or whether it be for just general, other general best practices. If you just want somebody to know what your department does, when I went through the nursing home recently, I was amazed at how much housekeeping goes into maintaining the wheelchairs. They have like a mini car wash in there, so that if they become soiled, they can make sure that their employees stay healthy. You know, so if you want to brag about something that your department does, but those are the ways that I can come up with something more than, let's talk about shoes this month, let's talk about fire extinguishers this month. Gives me the opportunity to talk about things a little bit more in detail. So I'm going to quick set this stuff down.
Was that everything, Laura? I think so. Okay. Active shooter training is on the agenda. I asked for that to be placed on the agenda. There is active shooter training. It's mandatory, I do believe. There was an email that came out from Melissa. Okay. Okay, but there was an email that came out from Melissa, listing the dates that we would have active shooter training. It'll be held in the sheriff's training room. I think they can get 50 people at a time in each one of the classes. Please sign up for that training. It will be instructed by the school resource officers. They would be the ones that are gonna be able to answer your questions on, if this happens and I'm here, where should I go? I did take the SROs around to the different buildings last month. You may have seen me walking through your departments with the deputies, just to give them a lay of the land on what your office area looked like and where the sneaky hallways are and how you can cut from one office to another and things like that. So they're aware of the layout a little bit better. But yeah, look at that email from Melissa regarding active shooter training and schedule you do have to schedule a time and a date. So schedule your time and date to go to that training. And again, it's in the sheriff's training room. All right. Yes, sir.
New board members need to do that too.
I don't know. I will get an answer. I don't remember who I know it went to all departments. I don't know if I think it went to all department heads to schedule their people so basically, if we're having it at the health department, right, we don't want to take all 50 employees out of the health department on the same day. So that we sent it to the department heads so that they could schedule their people to lessen the impact on the running of their departments. But I don't know about if it went out to board members or not, but I'll find out.
There was a request for the board members to be trained.
Okay. Did the request come from the board members or did the request come from HR? Do I need to follow up with HR is what I'm saying? Okay. Okay.
There's protocols set up, but this is new board members. I don't want to speak to it on YouTube.
Okay, gotcha. So we'll get you guys invited then. We'll send that email out to you guys as well. Work comp.
Okay, for the month of September, we did have 2 claims. We had one individual that was bit by a dog on, taking care of a service altercation. I don't know exactly.
It was law enforcement activity.
Law enforcement duties. And then the other altercation, or other incident was another law enforcement helping extract somebody from a vehicle and got a cut on their arm. So this year, we're up to 19 claims, which matches last year. I can say there's a positive. When I kind of went through some of the list, looking back at some of our incidents this year, we've had a couple poison ivy. We've had, the beginning of the year, we had one with a raccoon. We've had some training situations, with corrections so that they can handle these situations better and not have more serious injuries. So we've really had a good number of people who have sought medical attention the way that they should be seeking medical attention to make sure that injury and illness doesn't go any further. So the county is providing a safe work environment. So that's why, yes, we've had 19, but at least I'm happy to hear that people are reporting when they are injured so that we can come in with corrective actions. We've had some repetitive injuries, and have been working with departments as I go through, talking about micro breaks and how to stretch out your wrist and getting up in good posture. So really kind of taking a look at the list this year and seeing how we can make improvements. So, any questions on any work comp?
For safety concerns and submissions, we did have one that was submitted. It was an outlet near a water source. The outlet wasn't ground fault. I went to follow up with that today, and the office where that was at, where the doors were closed and they were in a meeting, so I couldn't follow up with it today, but I'll try and follow up with it later today. It was forwarded on to maintenance for them to look at that outlet and get it fixed. But I will follow up with it after the meeting, provided their meeting is over with. Okay. Find It, Fix It Friday. We've been all the way through the list, okay, and we've started going back through the second time. It's been a hectic couple of weeks for me primarily, and I think Laura also had a couple hectic weeks there. But we're gonna start back the Find It, Fix It Fridays again, for next week, next Thursday, I think. Is it Thursday or Wednesday?
Thursday, I have the trust meeting, I'll be
So
down
we're gonna,
here.
we're gonna shoot for next Thursday, for the department. I just don't have the list memorized yet, so I think it's gonna be circuit clerk, is next. But look for an email tomorrow morning from me, and we'll let you know where it's gonna be. Also, on the Find It, Fix It's now, when Laura comes through your office, pull your last inspection record and make sure that the things that you identified before have been addressed. Because that's the purpose of this thing, right? Is if we see that there's unsafe condition within our departments, we want to make sure it gets addressed. And we address it by a couple different means, right? Either through the budgetary process, if it's something, if you need to buy a new chair because the wheel keeps falling off. That's not a maintenance issue. That's a budgetary thing. That's something that the department's responsible for. If it's because of, a sharp corner on a countertop, that's more of a maintenance issue. So we want to make sure, and this is the key part of the whole Find It, Fix It is, when you come across those items that need fixed, is you have to follow up and write a maintenance request for those so that maintenance is aware and they can follow up and get it fixed for you. Not asking anybody to fix it. I'm just asking you to follow through and make sure that that maintenance report gets done, or that maintenance request gets done so that they're aware of the issue and they can fix it. Okay? Go over to you.
Okay. Well, as Fred said, this is Fire Prevention Month. This week is specifically Fire Prevention Week, and I believe maybe I said it last year, why this month has been dedicated to it. It is because today would have been the last day of the Chicago fire back in 1871, I think it was. It burned for 2 days, and because of rain, the fire was extinguished more quickly than if the fire department at that time would have been able to manage it. I think 100,000 people were left without homes, and like 3,000 buildings, structures were on fire. So, so we think about just how things have changed, as far as better building codes, fire life safety codes. Fires like this are ones which have set the precedence and the importance of understanding what to do in a fire. I do encourage everybody to watch the Vector training protocols with your staff. They do go over the different kinds of fire extinguishers and the different types of fires. We are coming up with a lot with more concerns with fires when it comes to lithium-ion batteries. Those are actually a Class B fire, but you do submerge, you do try to cool the lithium-ion batteries down with water to counteract the fire in that situation, is what I'm finding in most of the studies that I have. There might be some types of cooling cloths or blankets that can be put over them, but overall, everybody who I've spoken to, fire extinguisher people, They say to make sure that you are submerging them, cooling them off with copious amounts of water. So just think about like your cell phones, when they heat up, it's time to probably get a new cell phone instead of continually cooling it down by a fan or air conditioner in your car. Make sure you're using the proper types of charging cables that come with it. Making sure that when it's fully charged, you do take things off the chargers. You don't just let them sit all the time on the chargers. The sheet that I've given you today has the A, B, C, and D classification of fires. There is one more classification of fires, and that's the Class K fire. Those are for kitchens. And since the nursing home has the commercial kitchen, but I think that's the only true commercial kitchen in the county. And county staff does not operate. It's a contracted service, correct? For those using it, but still it's important to know, Class K extinguishers are different. They produce more of a soap that would lay on top of a grease fire, so that it doesn't splatter. So that's one of the more unique types of fire extinguishers. I did a little bit more research on halon extinguishers because we do find some halon throughout the county in some departments. And as the EPA's website says, that in January of '94, the production and import of virgin halons have been phased out of the United States. So there still are halon applications, especially in military and aviation. And we do have some halon area extinguishers in areas which might have sensitive documents. So that's a county type of a thing to decide if and when you're going to remove the halon extinguishers unless they're taken out of service because of routine inspections that they go through. But that halon gas can be recaptured and then sold to other industries, as I'm reading in this EPA article. So there still is a use for halon, but it's not because it's depleting the oxygen or making it unsafe for us to be around it. It's because of ozone depletion is why it's being regulated so closely. So if there's a cigarette lighter fire, do not grab the halon fire extinguisher, grab your ABC fire extinguisher, to put out that type of a garbage can, type of a fire, since it is a very much of a regulated type of an extinguisher now. But just some of the basics when it comes to what we discussed, just to review the different types of fires. We have the A, B, C, D, and K. D fires are typically more in a foundry or more of a manufacturing environment. That's why we don't spend a lot of time on them within the typical office environments. But your Class A fires are going to be everything from clothing, boxes, wood products, things that would typically be found in like an attic is one way that they talk about remembering it. Things in a box might be like a case of oil, cases of like painting products and things like that. So those are going to be your items, which are going to be your Class B fires. Class C are going to be your energized electrical units. So it's going to be like a toaster if a toaster's on fire in somebody's office. And again, the kitchen is going to be for your fats and oils typically found in a commercial kitchen. So basically what we're trying to do is take away either the heat, the oxygen, or the fuel source itself to break down a fire. We didn't do the fire extinguisher training this year at the employee luncheon, but I think the year before, a lot of people did participate in the fire extinguisher training, and a lot of people appreciated having that opportunity at that point in time. And especially now when people are starting their bonfires, and some people have a lot of petroleum or those tanks in their yards. Their grill has a tank on it, their fire table has a tank on it. So there's a lot of that liquid or that gas, which is very much in close proximity to our homes. So one of the things that I want to focus on today is even for home fire safety. How many minutes do you have to get out of your house in a modern day house? Okay, back when I was a child, we had like 17 to 20 minutes to get out of the house. That's when people talked about looking for photo albums and rounding up all of their animals and all of their keepsakes. Now, because of the toxic gases, because so much of our furniture is recycled materials and foams, and people have beds which are, electrical for adjusting, for comfort, and cell phones, next to their beds and different things. We have saying that we have 5 minutes is generous to say that we have 3 to 5 minutes to get ourselves and our families out of our homes. So we need to think about your pets. We need to think about your children in other rooms or other stories of the home. We need to start thinking about people with some type of back problems or, using some type of walking appliances to get out of the fires. How are we going to alert our loved ones to get out of the homes? So the use of fire extinguishers and just good fire prevention measures is becoming more important than ever. So for cooking and making sure that electrical cords are in good condition here at work and at our home are all very good things to take into account. So I'm just saying a lot of these extra tidbits today, hoping that maybe this will spark someone to say, okay, so can you go a little bit more into X, Y, or Z, when it comes to getting out of the building safely. They even say that the open concept of a lot of these modern day homes where the kitchen and the living room is that big great room, we no longer have the fire division walls from one room to the next. So, we just have to take into account how quickly a fire can spread in any of these situations that we're in, and do the best that we can to eliminate the hazards. Anyone have any questions over any of this material or any questions from the basics with the Vector training on fire safety, how it's created, how it's extinguished? Okay? All right, that's what I have today.
Takes us to employee open floor. Crickets. All right, I guess I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Stockley.
All right. Our next meeting is Wednesday, November 13th. Is there any other business that needs to be coming before this body? If not, is there a motion for adjournment? Mr. Brown, second by Ms. Urick. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Be safe, everyone.